goes to right. Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's up, everybody? What's going on? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. The Party on Broad can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Hit that subscribe button. If you guys are watching on YouTube, joining us today is, of course, our co-host. He is Rob. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. Check out his other pod, the Madness Podcast, featuring Jessica Town. What's going on, Rob?
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm excited to talk to our special guest here today, and we're only 4 days away from the draft, so all this waiting's almost over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The what? The what? There's football going on now? Really?
Can never be sure, man.
Yeah, you don't know, man. I'll tell you.
All right, our very special guest today is an Eagles legend. He is number 83 of the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, I cannot begin to explain how much of an honor it is to have you on our show. He is the legend, Vince Papale. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm just a dad right now, forget that legend stuff. But I appreciate that. Yeah, it's great to be with you, Chris and Rob. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, you had it right. As soon as I saw the words Philly in it, I said, I got to do this. I got to connect. I just did the greatest phone interview with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Two legendary Philly guys. It was just so much fun. I'm down in Jupiter, Florida right now with my family, and I miss home so much. I can't wait to get back. But right now they're just things are shut down still. So I'll just ride this one out, as they say, riding out the storm. But yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks.
Dude, it's an honor. It's an honor. So what's a life like in the day of Vince Papale, and how's quarantine life been for you, man?
Well, down here it's a little bit different. We do have our stay-at-home order. There's a little bit more room. There's a lot more space where I'm at. I'm in Jupiter, Florida, a little village they call Tequesta. We have a lot of space, a lot of room, and I'm here with my family. My son Vinny, who is a potential NFL prospect, and our daughter Gabriella works with the 76ers. We had come down right after, actually about a week before everything shut down in Philadelphia. They had to stay at the home orders and stuff like that. And we had come down actually to just be with Vinny and bring the dog down because he was training at Chris Carter's camp in Boca Raton with a bunch of NFL and future NFL guys and kids that are getting ready for the combine. There's about 30 or 35 of them. And so we just came down to bring his dog down, and then we got down here, and then everything sort of went south, with the COVID-19 virus. And then Gabriella, who does all the live in-game entertainment for the Sixers, they just shut her offices and their complex down in Camden, New Jersey, and then so we flew her down here with her girlfriend, and we came, and now her girlfriend went back to her parents up in Rochester, and the four of us are down here. So it's interesting. Vinny continues to train. He's got a program that he works with, and there is a place that he can go to. There's there's not anybody around, but he can work out and train there, and get that done. And Gabriella does whatever she needs to do. My wife Janet's a realtor on both sides of the river in Philly and New Jersey. Everything just came to a screeching halt for her. And then me, I like tomorrow I was supposed to be in Dallas. I actually had a speaking engagement at Irving, Texas. It was postponed. And then last week I was supposed to be in Miami. That was postponed. And then the following week I was supposed to be in Hawaii because I represent Sprint. Wow. And I was going to speak to all their top people. That was wiped out. Then we were going to the Kentucky Derby. That's going. So you have to reinvent yourself. But it's sort of cool because we're in not a new house, but a house that we rehabbed. And I'm an outdoors guy, and I love being outdoors. And we have a little bit of space, a lot of air, and so I'm doing a lot of work outside, and then I'm transitioning now because I've done a couple of cyber conferences. I actually spoke to a bunch of kids in quarantine out in Italy. I just did a big deal for Clear with their salespeople just this a couple of days ago, and I'm have next one next week with Ecuador. One now I'm starting to do right here. Pretty cool, and I'm sort of just here. So that's keeping me busy, and then somebody just sent me a whole bunch of items to autograph, and I suppose we had an autograph show in Chicago. So all the things, those 500 items I was going to autograph there in Chicago, they just sent them down here, and I'm so between getting out and getting some fresh air and reconnecting with my kids, because it's the first time we've been together for 8 years, really, since Gabby went to Syracuse and Vinny went to University of Delaware. Now we're back together and we're sort of readjusting.
Very good.
So,
Well,
as Jimmy Murray said, life's an audible, and you look for the silver lining. And right now we're finding it, and I'm getting a lot of joy just being with my kids. And tomorrow, I'm going to get a chance to go out and work out with Vinny, which I'm real excited about. So it's all good.
Awesome.
Well, that's great. And we're glad you guys are all staying safe and healthy down there in Jupiter. And obviously, the world and sports fans have been missing sports for the last multiple weeks. And finally, this NFL draft is kind of like a reprieve. You think about the guys that are looking to be drafted and thinking that they've made it to the NFL, where you were a rookie in an NFL locker room, Vince. And I'm curious, what's the feeling like being that rookie, thinking you made it, and then you got to go in and interact with all these veterans that have been there for however many years that they've been there?
Well, they didn't treat me too kindly. To me back in the day, the draft was something that came through an open window or a door. We didn't know. But they had like 45 or 50 rounds. I don't know. I think it was actually 16 rounds, and they did it all in one day. It wasn't a big media event that it is. And I've been at several drafts. Especially now since Invincible has come out. For me though, Rob, when I first came in, I was not really well received by the veterans. A lot of the guys, but there were two groups. There were those that really wanted me to, that they really wanted me to show that I could do it. They knew a little bit about my background, but they didn't do anything to show me that they were sort of an advocate of mine, and they weren't openly cheering for me. And then there was the other group where guys just, it's almost like politics now. It's like, they flat out hate me. And so I'm just coming in because I'm an outlier. I don't know this NFL stuff. I don't know this college football stuff. I don't know all this. I don't have a pedigree. I don't have a resume. I'm a track guy. And they thought I was a publicity stunt. Maybe I was trying to do a feature article for a newspaper story, or George Plimpton a couple of years right before that came out with a book, Paper Lion. But once I started to perform, and I started performing the preseason games, Rob, our whole attitude changed. And then right after, actually, we had 6 preseason games then, and after the 4th preseason game against the Miami Dolphins, I lit it up and had a great first half, and Coach pulled me out. And the next morning, when we got back to Philadelphia, and he showed did a film study, he put together a highlight of me blocking, receiving, catching, special teams, put about 12 to 15 plays that I did that game, just knocking guys on their ass downfield on a block. And I had a couple special teams hits and 5 catches, and got in a couple scuffles, guys trying to mess with me, and I just went right after them. And he put that, and he says, this guy doesn't even belong on the field. He said, but he's going to make the team. And from that point on, the defensive backs, the other guys, the receivers, Carmichael, who was our top gun back then, hey, Vinny, you're tipping, you're throwing your shoulder, your head's going back, you're doing this. And then, I became one of them and made the big play that they showed in the movie against the Giants. And that was it. That was a turning point. And from that point on, I was part of the team. So it was you got to go through it, but then every year, here comes the draft picks, and there's this guy coming in, or that guy, there's another wide receiver. So, but the coach sort of liked me when we had a couple of rookie wide receivers. This is my second year. and he'd say, "Hey, Vin, we want to do a little blocking drill." And so he gets this one guy, and he gets a rookie up there that just got drafted, and he has him holding, one of the shields. And then I would come in full speed and blast him, or I just come in and just rip him. And oh, to be screaming. And he says, "What are you trying to do, man?" I says, you are between me and my family and taking my job away from me. I am not your friend. So I wasn't a nice guy back then until when they made the team. Then they made the team. But I figured, hey, payback's a bitch, man. I had to do the same. I had to do the same thing they were doing to me when I was a rookie. So it was a lot of fun. But then Bergie and Carmichael and with Jaws came in second year. I mean, we're all so close. And Dick Vermeil, I just with Dick Vermeil on a podcast a couple of days ago, and I just love Coach. So it's a really special bond that we have going on there.
Let's talk a little NFL draft, man. Recently, one of the top. Oh, sorry. Obviously, you follow the Eagles. You bleed Eagles green, and the wide receiver was your position, man. Do you think the Eagles need a slot wide receiver? Do you think they need an outside speed guy in this draft, or is that too much? Is that shit too much overblown, man? What's your thought on that?
Well, slot receivers. I guess Aguilar was the guy. And Nelson. I always admired him. I know people were down on him, and I'm sure they're probably thinking, and thank God he's gone. But he had a great year, that Super Bowl year, and he had a great Super Bowl. Let me tell you, he made some catches. If he doesn't make a couple, 3 of those catches, possession catches, we don't win the game, and we don't come home with that trophy. And I say we because I feel part of that team. Doug Peterson and I are really close. And the slot guy, you can't underestimate the slot guy. The perfect slot, actually, my son. But that's another story. But he's still not with that attorney. That was mismanaged. They should have just told him right then when he had that sports hernia, because we know from experience with my son, he had that same deal, and he should have known from experience right then. He should have just get it done. He could have been there before they went into the playoffs. It would have been an absolute plus for them. They didn't have anybody to stretch the defense, and it's not an overblown fact. And of course now we have Alshon, and he hopefully is going to be back healthy. We're really solid at the tight ends, but they're going to have to get that really tough slot receiver in there, and he's so important because he controls the middle of the field aside from Ertz and with the tight ends. It'll be a good look. It'll be interesting to see what they do. And I'm not really that much into the draft right now, guys. Simply because Vinny went through it last year, and we thought he was projected to go, but then found out we had that sports hernia, so that was the end of that. So we're not really following that much, but I do. I'm looking to see what's going on. I follow Dave Spadaro every day. I get the Eagles thing and see what's happening. Intrigued more than anything about what's going to happen in the secondary. Yep. And just so many moves, and taking a cornerback and making him a safety, and are they going to miss the big guy? And I just really don't know what's going to happen with those 4 or 5 guys. That'll be interesting to watch and to see how they develop. But offensively, and then Jason, who's Peters and who's going to replace Peters, and
yep.
The running backs. What are they going to do with the running backs? But and we got to keep Carson healthy. I mean, it's as simple as that. Carson has to stay healthy.
Yep.
Hey, Vince, you were a season ticket holder before you became a player. You are one of us. You are a Philly guy. And recently, one of the prospects, wide receiver by the name of Denzel Mims out of Baylor, made some comments. And his comments basically were, when he came here on a visit with his coach, he saw a lot of scary people. He doesn't really fit in with that. It made him afraid and all this. And you know how our town gets, you can't say one thing without us finding a way to come after you on it. What would you say to the Eagles about avoiding guys that don't have what might be the right mental capacity to play in Philadelphia? Because it is unlike a lot of other places.
Yeah, I think that was on his part. I mean, come on, man. The only way you can be intimidated, let somebody intimidate you. I mean, for crying out loud, come into Philadelphia. We're just passionate. We're energetic. We're loyal. I'm a Delco Delco kid. I grew up in Glen Olden, went to Interboro High School in St. Joe's, and taught and went back teaching in Interboro. So, but I'm a Philadelphian. I have a few homes in Philly, and I've sort of been embraced by this, but block out the noise and just do what you're supposed to do and catch footballs, for crying out loud. So, I don't know. I go to Dallas. I'll be like I was going to be in Dallas. Oh, Philly fans, and that's all right. We'll if I ever see, when I'm in an Eagles game, if I ever see anybody misbehaving or mistreating a fan with somebody else, even if they're wearing another jersey, I'll be the first to step in, and they know, and they'll back right off. Oh, okay, Vince. Just chill, man. It's all good. Everybody has a right to choose for whom they want to. But just don't get crazy. I had a player that I coached and taught at Interboro that actually got in the middle of a scuffle at an Eagles-Giants game. And, here he was. He's just trying to make some money on the side. And then something broke out between an Eagles fan and a Giants fan. And he got pushed down and wound up getting a concussion and a serious injury. I mean, really, why? It's just a football game. But remember that one guy from Dallas? It's just a game, man. It's just a game. It's lighten up.
All right, man. Outside of wide receiver, where do you see the Eagles' biggest need from a drafting perspective? What position should they target the most right now?
Well, obviously they have to shore. I'd say take a look at the running back and shore up the offensive line, and and get a couple animals there that are willing to run downfield and special teams. But they're always the guys, the second or the third team. But again, I really haven't followed it that much, and where they're going to go. So that would just be conjecture. But obviously, with Jason, that's going to be a big loss if he doesn't come back. And certainly, we'll see what's going on there. But Lane, we got to keep Lane healthy. Craig. And Kelsey. There's nobody that's more solid than Jason Kelsey in so many ways, not just on the field, but all over in the community. He's without a doubt my favorite player on the team. I just love that man. He's what it's all about. He is passion. He's Philly, and get guys. Get the character guys in, and they're the ones. That was always Dick's philosophy. Sometimes mistakes are so high. It's so different now. I mean, I'm a dinosaur, for Christ's sake. I came in 76. God, with the draft, like I said, it was just something that came through the door, and you just put another blanket on to get rid of it. So,
hey, Vince, your situation is so unique. It's such an incredible story, and that traditional, that beautiful underdog story that Philadelphia just loved. But I'm curious, if you look at the game the way it is today, do you think it would be possible for someone to have that situation like you did, where there was an open tryout and could walk onto a team? Or do you think just because of the evolution of the game that it might be a little more challenging for someone to do that?
Yeah, I've been asked that question before, and just the evolution of the game, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, because I really don't think what it is with any egos and the draft and all that other stuff, whether they allow a free agent tryout. Dick only did that because a few years prior to that, in '74, the Redskins did that, had an open tryout, and they brought in the guy by the name of Herb Mulkey. But he played college, but he was about 24, 25 years old. He was quite the example. But you do have those pure free agents. When you see there's a guy right now that's out there in Minnesota, Adam Thielen. There was a guy that played a Division II school, and just ironically, his agent is Vinny's agent, because there was sort of that comparison of Vinny back then. So he had to go through a few tryouts in order to get there, go through the mini camp. So that's basically the way you do it. You get invited to the mini camp, and then if you survive the mini camp, maybe you get a chance to get a futures contract, and you get there to training camp, and then be one of the 90 in training camp. But to have that, George Allen was the coach for the Redskins back then, and he was actually Coach Vermeil's coach when Dick went from the college football into the pros at the LA Rams. And there was all that tie-in. So thank God to George Allen, because of him, he influenced Dick Vermeil, and Dick, he just noticed me there. So I really don't think that, to make the short answer a long one, I really don't think that opportunity is going to happen. It doesn't mean that they're not there. It doesn't mean that a guy in the green cape, who really is Tony Luke in our movie, the great Tony Luke. And it's not that there's a guy with a green cape and in the best. They could be there, but we just don't know at this point.
All right, let's stay on that movie, man, because obviously your story was put on the big screen with Invincible. And first of all, what was it like, man, having a Boston guy play you in a movie?
I didn't even know who Mark Wahlberg was, for crying out loud. Somebody said Mark from the Funky Bunch. I said, the Good Vibrations guy. I love that song. Cool. He's a dude. So I didn't even connect with it. I was a big Patriots fan. I was a big Tom Brady fan. Wes Welker was my son's idol. And those kinds of things. And anyway, I didn't really have a problem with it. And he's the greatest, man. I love Mark. He came in. He said, "I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to make the city of Philadelphia proud. I'm going to do you justice." He said, "But I'm feeling pressure." I said, "Dude, how are you going to be feeling pressure? You're getting paid a lot of money just to run around a little bit and get your butt knocked and make a chance to kiss Elizabeth Banks. I mean, how cool is that?" and it says, "Hey, well, I never played the role of a guy that still was alive at the end of the movie before, because he was in Planet of the Apes and The Perfect Storm." And Mark and I got really close, and it didn't make a difference where he was from, and he doesn't have that Boston accent, and he's just really a badass. He's a dude, and I love him. As my kids would say, he's dope. He's dope. Which is cool.
Very nice. Well, we know that like movies are in Hollywood, and some people say it's dramatic, but I'm always been curious. What are some of the similarities and differences between you, Vince Papale, and the Vince Papale we saw on the screen in Invincible? Is there anything that you could point at and say, well, I don't know if I was as much that guy, or that is definitely me to a T?
Well, all the scenes you saw, the football scenes and the training camp scenes and the rough touch stuff, that was pretty much me to a T. So that encumbered about 60, 65, 70% of the movie. The things that they and so if you were to give it a percentage, I would say it was 90% on the money and then 10 a little bit. And they'll stretch timelines. And when I looked at the first script, it was done by the movie was done by Ken Mock, who the originator of America's Top Model, and the producers who took the script to Disney, showed it to Disney, were Mark Chiardi and Gordon Gray, who did Miracle and Rookie. So they already had it. They had a great pedigree. So as soon as they came in with that script, but when I saw that first script, I said, well, this is a little bit out of place. We had to create the drama, and then they made my wife Janet, who's my wife now 26 years. They made her a Giants fan, and they made her a bartender, and we needed to do that because we needed to get the intellectual branding rights, property and branding rights from the NFL. So they said, well, we want your love interest to be this. So they made her that, and Janet sold it. She signed off on it, had no problem with it, and so we rolled. But just a couple timelines, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just to create some drama, some conflict, whatever. And it was great, and I'm still in touch with most everybody on the script. Actually, Michael Kelly, everybody sees him on Brian with Guts commercial. He was Petey, and Mike was played in touch with him, and other guys, and it's just been really cool for us. So a tremendous experience. I can't believe it's going to be 14 years Labor Day when it came out. We ran #1 in the post office. I mean, post office in the box office. So too many hits, guys.
All right. It's just one of my favorite movies, man. The scene where you're pointing up at the stands. Did that really happen?
That happened. This was my dad and all my buddies. And, we were season ticket holders. My first season tickets were at Franklin Field when I was at St. Joe's. And then they went to the Vet in '73. From the Vet, I'd go right down. So my season tickets were in the 700 level. So I point up to my dad and all my buddies. And
That's awesome.
it was pretty crazy.
Hey, Vince, you talked about how you're close. you talked about how you're close with those guys still you play with, and Harold. And Harold actually finally got into the Hall of Fame this year.
Right.
Just talk about how great that is to finally see him get the honor he's deserved.
Oh, it was awesome. Harold was a real gamer, and we were really close friends, and still are close friends when I was playing, and we hung out together, did a lot of stuff together, on and off the field, and I'm just so proud of Harold. I felt like I was an integral part of all that because Harold played a couple seasons with a really bad damaged ankle. People didn't know about it. And to the point where it was, he was playing with a lot of pain, but, you get through that, you get through that. And there were times just during the week where we didn't even know if Harold was going to play. And I was running with the ones. I was Carmine. And but he came, and I'm so happy and proud of Harold. He deserved everything he got. But I'll tell you, there's another guy that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Should be a first ballot. Shouldn't even be a consideration, and that's Coach Dick Vermeil. You win a Super Bowl, and you go to another Super Bowl, and you get so close to getting to the Super Bowl with what he did for 3 different teams. Come on, man, that's not even close. We got to get Coach Vermeil in there. That would be the ultimate. But I'm so proud of Harold Carmichael. I love him. He used to. I'd call him Paisan, and he used to call me Benny, and his nickname was Slim, and my nickname was Samurai, actually, Knucklehead. So.
Vince,
that's why we have the Who's Nuts. The Who's Nuts is if you had made a special team set and you blew a guy up, you get a Who's Nuts t-shirt.
Love it. Vince, what's your take on Carson Wentz? He's showed flashes of greatness. He's fought injuries. Does he have potential to be the best Eagles quarterback of all time? What's your take?
No, to be the best Eagles quarterback of all time. Yeah, he does have that potential. I mean, the guy's a phenomenal athlete, and he showed that, and he showed that he can get it done. This has got to be his year. I mean, that's a couple of years now where he's had some unfortunate injuries, and and thank God we had Nick Foles, fill in, and the magnificent job that Nick Foles did. So but I know injuries. I've had them. We're living it. With my son, just unfortunate stuff, hustle things. Where you get banged up, a cheap shot, for crying out loud. You can't tell me that wasn't a cheap shot he took in that game. And to think that this guy, they're even thinking about bringing him in. Oh. Clowney, I think that's what his name was. So, don't even get me started on that one. But I mean, he because he's trying to. But I think that this is going to be his year. The 3's a charm, so he's going to get to it. But he can lead us here. Can he be the best? Who knows? I mean, we've had some good ones here. With starting with Ron Jaworski and Randall and. So we'll see. Time will tell.
Yep. But
the potential, what the greatest, these are 2 great quotes about potential. Just use that word. And I use it when I go out and speak. And hey, if anybody wants me to speak, www.vincepapale.com. So anyway, so potential. So Vince Lombardi says potential is something you ain't done yet. And the other one is Dick Vermeil saying the greatest waste of mankind is the waste of potential. I am pointing there I didn't realize we were going to go on the phone, and I probably had about 5 minutes left on my phone battery here. But the potential's there, and as Coach Ramil said, it's a great waste. And Carson hasn't wasted his potential because of lack of effort. Every injury has been because he's gone 115, 120%. But I think he's going to get through there. It's a big word, potential, and I talk about it all the time when I go out and speak.
Where can we find you, man? VincePapale.com. Make sure you check that out. Where can we find you moving forward?
Well, that's it. VincePapale.com. You go up in the tabs across, and it says Contact Vince. And I just joined I'm on Facebook. I'm jammed up on Facebook, but on Twitter, I'm Invincible 83, and I'm 83, and Vince Papale 83, and Instagram. But the website's the way to do it. I'm easy to get to. So when you go to the website, Contact Vince, it comes right into this little computer that phone's sitting on right now. And I've got a great book out there that's called The Last Laugh: Vision to Victory, and that was doing a podcast with a picture of me and him just laughing our asses off after a big hit that I made against the Washington Reds. The last now, and I'm just Skins for the fumble, and then we went on to beat the Redskins. They came in 7-0, and so somebody took a picture of us on the sideline laughing our butts off, and just Google up "Last Laugh" and you'll find that picture. And I've got that book, and basically what it's called, Vision to Victory, and we sort of tell our stories, but we have a lot of Hall of Famers in there, including Dick from Millwall, Jim Harbaugh, actors, entrepreneurs, a lot of great people coming in. Let's see, Pat Croce, a Philly guy, he tells his story, and so that's there. But hey, I'm easy, but anybody out there, I know we're going through a tough time, and the way I look at it, and I'm very fortunate that I was able to come down here. I came down first to see Vinny train, and then Gabriella, who works for the 76ers, came down with us. And we've been down here about 5 or 6 weeks now. Before there were all the shutdowns, and we never anticipated something like this happening. So at this point, we really can't get up back into New Jersey and do the things that we're doing down here. So we're going to stay here. But you know what? It's going to require sacrifice. It's going to require discipline. It's like anything else in life. And just find your audible. And what I always, because the silver lining playbook, I keep thinking about that. Find that silver lining. For me, it's to be with my family for the first time without going on a vacation and all that stuff for 8 years. And, it's sort of a readjustment. So whatever it is, you now have time. There's no excuses for you not to reward yourself and do things for yourself in most cases. So do that and get to know who you are. Be introspective and just help other people. And it takes teamwork to make the dream work. This has been a nightmare of all nightmares, but we all come together. We can get rid of that nightmare. And when we wake up after this is all over, we're going to be better people because of it. So, and that's what being invincible is all about. It's about tenacity, it's overcoming adversity. It's what people say you can't do it. It's impossible, becoming possible. The unthinkable, we've been hit with the unthinkable. Well, guess what? We're going to beat this. We're going to overcome it. But we can only do it together as a team and make sure that you're the solution and not the problem. Do not be the problem. We got enough of that finger pointing. It pisses me off to no end. Come on, man. Everybody just suck it up. We're all a team. When somebody goes down, next man up, right? That's what the Navy SEALs do. Yep. So anyway, that's my speech. Philly, and yeah, Philly, I love it. I love every Philly team, and Gabby with the Sixers, and we're Flyer fans and the soul. I'm so sorry to see the Arena Football League go, and I'm really upset that the XFL went, because it was a great a league like that was the one that sort of gave me the impetus to play in the NFL. Just keep chasing the dream. That's all you got to do.
Oh, man, you're an inspiration. That is Vince Papale, number 83 of the Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you so much for joining, Vince. Dude, thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right. Keep dreaming, baby. Hold fast to your dreams. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Yeah, you're welcome. See ya. Amen, brother. All right, see ya.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out. The
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a